Ready, babe? You know what it is, right? What time of year it is? Ready?
Are we
Ready?
recording?
We are. Ready?
Where's
One.
the
Happy New Year!
Oh my God, that scared the shit out of me. Oh my God.
It's the Jack
And Kathy
Show.
shit show.
and there we go.
Yeah, how was that?
Okay,
Did you like that
I think if yeah.
Okay.
All right, you ready to get started?
Oh, as soon as my heart stops racing.
That was pretty funny.
Babe.
Didn't expect that, did you?
No.
Well, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too. It is December 23rd, 2023.
December 23rd?
December. Oh my God. All right, cut.
Let's retake all of
December
this.
31st, 2023. You know you signed up for this. This is
Sign up for what?
whatever is going on with me.
I'm
You
going to be in
signed
a
up for it.
nursing home in about a year, and you're going to be butt wiping.
I am?
Yeah. All right, so this is our... why don't you get closer to the mic?
Yeah,
And
can we show off our hats first?
oh, we can. See what it says? Shit show. That we got from
Yes.
Kel, right?
Kel from Compass
Yeah.
sent us these hats. Thank you, Kel.
Thank you, Kel. You got... I'm going to put my arm around you in a very sexual way.
That's very far away from me, my love muffin.
The microphone is?
Yes.
Pull it toward you then.
Well, I did, and you moved it back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is how you survive a relationship.
Say sorry.
Say sorry.
you could practice one
Sorry. You
Sorry.
say sorry.
Okay, so this is our... Oh, sorry. Cheers.
Cheers. Happy New Year.
Happy
my
New
baby.
Year.
You should choke on it.
That's what she said. He said? I don't know. All right, so this is our year-end episode, right? Correct. Can I have my
Yeah.
goggles over there? Please, madam?
Yes, so just like last year, we asked listeners to send us questions, either text them, but ideally send us a little voice memo so we can hear your voice. And we had a wonderful turnout
Crazy
of questions.
outpouring,
and
yeah.
I don't know if we'll get through them all, but thank you to everyone that participated. It's so fun to hear from you, and each time someone sends something, I'm like, oh my gosh, yay! I don't know,
Right?
it's just really exciting.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
So we got a
Yeah,
lot of
it's really
questions.
cool.
So we're gonna
Blows my mind.
we're going to this whole episode is devoted to you guys, you 8 people who listen to us, even though we got more than 8 questions. So if you're watching on video, you can see some of the questions as they pop up. Otherwise, obviously listen. So we're gonna dive right into this one. Ready? This is Jennifer, correct?
Yes.
All right, here we go. In 3. Well, I'm just gonna play it. Ready?
I guess the question would be is how to handle judgmental and mean-spirited adult children that seem to think they maybe know more than you. Yay, holidays. Hope you guys had a great Christmas. Thanks.
That was cute.
That was cute.
I mean, not the topic, I totally understand. I think her giggle at the end was cute, and it adds a little lightheartedness. But I also get it. I mean, it's kind of a heavy topic when the holidays seem to bring out family stuff a lot of times. Doesn't it?
I've got an answer to all of it.
All right, you go. Let her rip.
We don't typically give advice on this show.
No, and by the way, we are completely unqualified to give advice, but it's our
Totally.
podcast, so we're going to freaking do it anyway.
Totally
Right?
unqualified. I have
Completely unqualified. We're just 2 old people with 5 children between us. All of them are adults, and we are blending our families together and forcing the kids to spend time together and navigating all of that as parents. And then
let's dive into the answer.
yes,
What's your
so
answer?
dive in.
But what's your
You
answer?
go first.
I have 3 things for Jennifer. 1, go check out Dr. Alexandra Solomon. She's from Northwestern University. She's got an amazing podcast, and of course the name of it eludes me now. Loving Something, Dr. Alexandra Solomon, Loving Something podcast. I'll find it later and remember it. Go listen to her podcast, because if you Google Dr. Alexandra Solomon podcast, relationships with kids, adult children, she's got a shit ton of content, blogs, a whole bunch of other stuff. So first, Jennifer, go listen to what she has to say about kids and relationships, and the holidays and all that other kind of stuff. What's it called? Reimagining Love, right? Mm-hmm. Did I get it? Reimagining Love? Okay. So Google her, search for her, and specifically Dr. Alexandra Solomon, adult children. And you'll find incredible content, because we got this question a while ago, and I actually felt we weren't qualified to answer other than to give our opinion.
Well, that's all this will be, right?
I get it.
It's our opinion. And that's...
So if you want really good answers, go listen to Dr. Alexandra. She rocks. And she's got great points on this topic specifically. In my own personal opinion, you asked a question about holidays. I get the impression that it's more than just adult children and holidays. I get the impression it's more adult children. So I've said this years ago when I started coaching, that kids just want to feel safe. And so when they're really little, safety means food and a warm blanket and changing of a diaper and kind of that health stuff. And as they get older, safety means the ability to speak their mind and say what they want to say and create their own individuality. So I'm going to now turn to what Linda has taught me. And maybe I can share this completely inarticulately. For sure, I'm going to botch this. But Linda has always said to me, and she said it when you and I went to therapy to go through some of the stuff, take yourself out of your shoes and put yourself in theirs. How do you think they're feeling right now? And the sooner you can get to a place of how they may be seeing the circumstance, regardless of how you may see it, is the sooner you'll start to at least connect with them.
It's the idea of turning towards them, right? So these kids, especially these young kids, before they're really, these kids, when they're in their early 20s, they really think they have it figured out. And that was part of what she explained to us, is she just, these kids come home and they feel smarter than you. And her daughter, I know, is living in New York, had lived in Chicago, has lived in New York now, and comes home and has sort of that know-it-all attitude, right? They feel so smart. And the truth is, we know that they're not fully developed in that yet either. So I think of it as sort of a power struggle. They're trying to
totally agree.
to exercise their power. And in order to still be the grown-up, the adult in this, the parent in this relationship, and not try to, it's so hard because it hurts us.
That's right.
It hurts our feelings as parents, and these kids don't give a shit that they hurt our feelings.
That's right.
At that same time, we need to turn towards them, in my opinion, again, completely unqualified, take it or leave it, and still continue to say, I sense that something is going on. How do you need me to show up?
Well, and to that point, also say, I'm feeling hurt right now, and I may need a moment. So there's another great guy that we follow on Instagram that talks about boundaries is not punishment. It's just saying, when this kind of stuff happens, I'm going to have to step away for a while. I did that with my kids. Yeah. When you get like this.
It's so easy to react.
Yeah, I don't like reactivity.
They say something
That's right.
quippy, and we can think of, well,
they're spoiled or whatever.
Say
right.
back.
It's pointless.
And you start as a parent running through your head like all the things you've done for them, and they seem ungrateful. So anyway, that's
give it some patience and grace. She's trying to figure out her life. Your daughter's trying to figure out her life. That's my take.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next one. You want an audio or a text one?
Whatever you got your thumb on next.
This is Sam from Chicago. So let me pull that up. You ready to go?
Yep.
At this time of year, do you find more value in looking back at the things you've accomplished and the things you've done throughout the year, or looking forward and setting goals for the next year, and why? At this time.
Well, so do you look backward and reflect, or forward and goal setting?
Is it a boring answer to say both?
No, it's the truth.
I think I probably spend more time on looking forward. I will definitely take time to look back and see all that you and I have accomplished. But really the focus is on what am I going to get after next year? What's the plan? What are the next year's goals? What are we going to do? What are we going to take on? What do I want to accomplish? And that probably is a priority for me. How about you?
I'm a little bit of neither, and I'll explain myself. So I find it really important to do what's called mind the gap. That means pay attention to the gap, meaning the gap from where you are, from where you were to where you are. Mm-hmm. So it's good to look back and go, wow, shit, we did a lot this past year or past 5 years or whatever it is. And then there's also benefit in saying, well, I think I want to go there, whatever there is, career change, remodeling a house, I don't care what it is. I tend to live in both. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of gratefulness for looking backward and going, well, I did a lot of shit. So when I'm having moments of nothing seems to be working, I tend to fall into back. Mm-hmm. And when I'm trying to plan for the future, I go, I think I want to be in that spot. So what are the things I need to do to get there? So I tend to live more in the moment than knowing I'm going to get someplace. So I try to live every day very active towards stuff. Does that make any sense what I'm saying? So I don't like write down goals necessarily. Like I want to sell the house by March or I want to get in better shape. I just kind of tell myself, I think I want to get in better shape. And so then that moment I just start changing things. Mm-hmm. Is that fair? What I'm getting at? And so I also don't use this time of year to do any of that.
You mean the new year?
I never do that. I am constantly.
You don't make resolutions.
I don't pay. I couldn't care less what the date of the calendar is.
You make them all year
long. But I do. I'm constantly changing and evolving.
Yeah, I've never been one to make a New Year's resolution.
Calendars are arbitrary for me. No. So I like the question though. Mm-mm. All right. Thank you, Sam. Do you feel you answered that, or you want to do another one?
No, that's good.
Do you want to read this one? Yes?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. This is from Meg. What have you learned about yourself while together as a couple that you didn't know before? Now, we have definitely touched on this in podcasts, and probably it's a consistent theme that we touch on it. I have learned so much in my relationship with you. I think it was, first of all, helpful that you and I met at the age we did, because I really felt closer to the person I truly am than at another time in my life, than when I was 20. So I love that I actually met you in my 50s, because I feel I have a stronger sense of self. But I have learned a lot in my relationship with you. And I think I have not only learned for the first time in my mind how to have a true partnership, like what that looks like, but I've also had to turn inward and recognize, my faults or my weaknesses even more, and keep working on owning those. So I've learned a lot in this relationship. It's the most significant relationship I've ever had. And not to take anything away from the kid's father. That was, I don't want to make it sound like I don't appreciate all those years and the fact that my kids are so awesome, and, but just in terms of a partnership and relationship, I've learned a lot in this relationship with you.
Awesome.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add to that?
Well, more questions for you. What have you learned about yourself, though? I know you said you learned a lot, and what have you learned, though? What would you say what is one thing you've learned about yourself?
I have learned to, speak up for myself a little bit more. I have learned that I can get very defensive and how to try to course correct that. I've learned to communicate better. I have learned, I don't know. I have learned to trust you immensely.
Was trust something you didn't have before, though? You know what I mean? That's, what I'm getting at? Like, was trust an issue for you?
Yeah, I think I doubted what the other person really really intended. Yes, and I do trust you. And when you tell me something, I believe you.
I don't have a degree from college. I'm just kidding. Here's what I
all a
learned.
lie.
Here's what I learned about myself in this relationship specifically that I didn't know before is that I am more traditionally an avoidant person. So fuck it, moving on to the next thing. Don't need to be that way. Lost that part of myself before I met you, and then kind of came back to this place of, it sounds like I'm going to say that I didn't care, but got to this place of, well, it works, doesn't work, don't give a shit. I like my life. And so I learned to appreciate, I learned to be more patient in myself and not think that everything is a burning fire of disaster. Because I tended to think that way. And I learned that we can have some pretty tough moments, and it's not the end of the world because there's something else there. There's some stronger core. So I've learned to rely on that strength specifically. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Okay.
Okay. What's
Audio
next?
or read one?
Let's do another read.
Okay. So this is from Kateri, who asked us 4 questions. So you want to rip them off?
Sure. I
Okay,
think
go
the
ahead.
first 2 are related. So one is, how did Jack propose to you? And the second, were you surprised by his proposal? And yes, very, very surprised. What he did was, we had made the rings together. So we went to a jeweler. So I knew the ring was there, and I knew the proposal was coming, and we had talked about it. And in true form for Jack and I, we do everything out of order. So we get the ring first, then the proposal comes. So we were in Chicago, and long story short, thought the whole thing was about Jack's birthday, and turns out he had hired a photographer, and she was photographing us ice skating unbeknownst to me. He took me past the apartment. I was clueless, and he's walking down this block, and I'm like, oh, this is where I was renting the Airbnb when we had our first date, and this was the site of our first kiss. Let's recreate it. And then, damn, that man dropped to his knees.
Yeah, it was
and
good.
proposed. It was good. So
It was a fun day.
it totally, he totally surprised me, and it was wonderful to be surprised. Especially
you
when you
were-
think your
thought
radar's up, and you
You were all
you're
over
gonna
it.
sniff it out, and then he
Yeah.
still surprised me. So that was really
You
fun.
did. You thought you were all over it.
Yeah.
You had no clue. I'm
Yeah.
glad it worked out that way too.
Yeah, agreed. And then
Okay, 2 more questions that
yeah.
are related. What is
Yep.
What is the hardest project you have done in the house, and would you flip another?
The kitchen was the hardest project. That was a ball buster.
100%. That was brutal.
kitchen
Why did
was
you think it was
brutal.
so tough?
Well, it was very physically demanding. It was the greatest expense of all the things that we've done, the greatest single expense. And between electrician and plumber, and then cabinet purchase, and it was a huge demo. It was a structural redo. It was
Yeah, we had to fix the beam.
inspectors and oh my gosh, and it was stressful for us too. It was super dirty and just everything. Check a box. Just make a list and then check every box. It was everything. So
Yeah, it was hard. Especially the cabinets were not fitting. And so I had to custom build. I had to take the core of a lot of things and rebuild it. Remember that? So it was brutal.
yeah,
Yeah, it looks great though. You have to
does.
admit
it
is.
does.
It's wonderful. It's
Yeah.
going to be hard to say goodbye to this. And so the last question she asked was, will we flip another house? I know I'm being really particular on words here. We don't consider ourselves flippers.
Well,
We-
I don't think
technically,
that's what she means.
I know she didn't
but
mean it. Would we work on another house, right?
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
I really would. I think
I
you
think
and
it's
I.
in our blood. I think it's what we do. We look for houses. We get inspired by dilapidated houses, and then enough time passes between when you did the last one to the next one that you forget. I say it's like childbirth. You're like,
Right.
that wasn't that bad.
That didn't hurt.
No, that didn't hurt at all. And so, yeah, we probably will.
I feel we got, you know what's funny? So for people who are new to this podcast, Kathy's a real estate agent and I've been in real estate my whole life, and we fix up homes as a side thing, but we live in them. So it's a little bit different. We're not trying to scramble to get a house done by some deadline. And so we take our time and we get really deliberate with a lot of things and intentional. So we're not just trying to get something sold and back in the market quickly. And what was a change for me, and we talk about it in the podcast, was I did feel there was a lot on my shoulders to do much of the work. And then when you replastered the doorway to the basement and then did all the tiling, I went, oh, thank God I don't have to do those things. And it made me realize, okay, here's the thing that I'll admit and the thing I learned. I'll admit that I like having my hands in all of it because I have a level of expertise above you, right? For some things. Mm-hmm. And then at the same time, I realized I've got to let go of some of this stuff or else I'm going to feel the burden and blame you or me for all this work. Mm-hmm. And when you took over the tiling, which by the way looks fucking unreal, you did a great job. You had never used a wet saw before.
Easy breezy.
You did great. And it made me go, oh God, we can do this again. And so to your point, we didn't learn how to work with one another and then go fix up houses. We decided to fix up a house and go, how do we work with one another? Yes. So I think it worked out great.
And we had some stumbles.
Yeah, we had definitely had some stumbles, no doubt about it.
Okay.
Let's go to this one because we'll go to this question next. This one is from John from Illinois. Here we go.
Hey, Jack and Kathy, Bob here. Love you. Love the show. Keep up the great work. Quick question. I'm hearing a lot of things about rates and people waiting for rates to go down. And one of the big things I've heard is if people wait for rates to go down, there'll be more demand on houses, so the housing prices will go up. So what I've been looking at is possibly buying while rates are a little high, not crazy high, and then refinancing. Again, all I've heard from all these so-called experts, but you guys are really the experts, is buying now is a good idea because as rates go down, there'll be more people in the market, there'll be more demand for houses, so that may actually increase housing prices. Would love your opinion. I'll hang up and wait for your answer.
Clearly, he follows more of our Anata Homes than our Jack and Kathy shit
So,
show,
yeah,
but
again.
That's so funny.
All right. So for everyone who's maybe newer to the podcast, we have a real estate company called Anata Homes. And Kathy just got her license in Illinois. So she's licensed in both Wisconsin and Illinois. You rock, by the way. So proud of you.
Thank you, babe.
I really am. You fucking kicked ass. I'm very proud of you for doing that work. That was not easy. And I hope I gave you enough space to do all that work without being too obnoxious.
We'll talk about that later.
Oh,
Just
come on.
kidding.
That's not funny. I was really proud of how I supported you.
You're great.
So, I was looking for a little prop there, wasn't I? That was a little insecurity. So for everyone who's new to this, we do real estate also. And so Kathy, I do a lot of the marketing and ops stuff for the business, and Kathy does all the sales work, and she kicks ass with it. And John is a mortgage broker from Illinois. Oh, he's licensed everywhere, actually. And so what are your opinions? Can I go first with my opinion?
And he's a good friend.
He's a really good friend.
Yeah.
Can I give you my opinion on?
Of course. I think our opinions are the same.
I don't want interest rates to drop down because I do think prices then get overinflated again. And I'm someone that's trying to sell a house potentially next year. I think it just overinflates the prices of homes. I think it makes things unattainable for anybody else. There are a lot of homes out there that I don't believe are worth the value that they're asking for. We've even seen it, right? We've seen homes that we look at, and there's one not far from us that was asking $500,000. It's probably worth $3.25. So I think there's this crazy pricing thing going on now, and I agree with John. Get a house and 6%, by the way, or 7% is not that fucking high. It really isn't. I recognize you can't buy as much with it. However, get that house. If rates drop, refinance. But I'd like home prices to stabilize because I think they're still crazy high. My point of view and scene.
Yeah, the low interest rates, which we saw a couple of years ago, the crazy 2-3% range, created a lot of competition. So everybody who wasn't even thinking about buying a house decided to sell something and go buy something else, or whatever. So it created a frenzy of buyers who were competing against each other, and it was not unusual to hear stories where people are overpaying by 20, 30, 40, 50, beyond, depending on the property. And then the struggle there is the home going to hold its value in that situation? So if you look at what we have right now, where home prices they're not low, mind you, but there's less competition out there. So if you're going to pay a decent price for a house, you're not overpaying by a ton, and houses are sitting on the market a little bit longer. So, yes. So John has a good point.
Yep.
John Bob has a good point that it's very smart. If you're interested in a house, start shopping now. There's still some quality homes out there. Yeah. And you can get in the house, and if interest rates drop to a place where it's advantageous for you to refinance, you do so then, and you haven't competed with everybody else to get in that house.
And and you and I don't normally market ourselves about Anata Homes.
No, this is
on this channel.
Yeah, no.
But I think I want to right now. I really do believe there's a lot of great real estate agents, great builders. There's tons of people. So I will in no way say we're the only ones to consider. I do know that we're very good at what we do. And we make a very good team, in that because of all the home remodeling I've done and you've done as well, we can look at homes, particularly ones that have been flipped, and notice potential problems, right? Mm-hmm. Things that pop up. We're also very good at telling you things about neighborhoods from Wisconsin and Illinois, because we both have extensive experience there. If you are considering selling or buying a house or whatever type of property, highly encourage you to talk to us. I do believe we do things differently, that we're not here just to try to sell and make commission. We want to pitch your house correctly if you're going to sell it. And we want to give you the real story of homes you're trying to buy and things to look for. And I'm really proud of how we do that, because we've run into professional builders whose family members or connections we've sold homes to, and they've been overwhelmingly impressed with the way we do our job. So looking for a home, come and see us. Is that too long of a pitch for you?
Yeah, it is a pitch.
You got uncomfortable. I don't give a shit. You did.
This is a
Fuck
shit
that.
show podcast.
Well, that's what's funny is you don't even pitch us. Like, that's how good we are. We're not one of those real estate agents that are just up for the sale. All right, I want to read this one. Okay.
Okay.
We're gonna shift gears. This is from Danielle, your friend Danielle, whom you knew from the modeling business, right?
Yep.
Okay, Danielle's wonderful. Awesome. Her and Taylor are fantastic. She admitted this. I'm going to read this to you from Danielle. I'm really struggling with a question to request because I haven't listened to many of the podcasts due to my nutty schedule. She is quite busy. So I have no idea what has been asked, and more importantly, what I want to know. Okay, shit, I'm the worst, huh? I had to read all of it.
But she didn't think we'd read the whole thing.
Right, we're reading the whole thing. Here's the question. Is there something you two have very strong differing opinions on about, and how you deal with that? That's first question. Go ahead.
Well, the first thing that came to mind was my request to have all the kids meet before we would get hitched, because that was something that I think it's the right choice of words to say we really butted heads on that.
That's a good question.
And I pushed back a lot, because you were like, Kath, I don't know why you think we're going to be the Brady Bunch. And I'm like, it's not that. I just really want the kids to meet. And in my mind, we are, we have joined. We're a union of some kind. And if you don't want to label it family, it's not the same as, their birth parents and everything, but there's a union between us. And so our kids are now connected in some way, and they don't have to be besties. They don't have to text each other on their birthdays. They don't even have to see much of each other over these years, but they're going to, by default. And it was important to me to have our adult children meet. And I'm sure it's way different if the kids were younger and you're joining, you have a second marriage. But for us, it was still important to me that the adult children got a chance to sniff each other out. And so now all those boxes are checked. All the kids have met each other, and we just had them here, and it was awesome. I mean, it could have been a disaster, but as it turned out, it really was awesome. And they're all lovely human beings. And we were missing Key. She had to head back after the holidays, so we missed her in the mix. But it was really fun.
Good call.
Yeah. So that's
your differing
one
opinion
that,
thing.
yeah, we definitely came from different camps on that, and it was a struggle.
I agree.
We had a couple fights about it, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Mine's a little bit different. Mine's the house remodel stuff.
Okay.
So I think what I struggled with, where we were really different, was I wanted decent quality stuff, but I wasn't going to try to customize a lot vis-a-vis the hood. Mm-hmm. That was it. That was for me. But I like yours a lot more, actually.
Okay.
Because we don't differ on too much. That's what's really... Do you agree? We really don't differ on too much stuff.
We really, really get along 98% of the time.
Yeah.
I do feel like the 2%
Are brutal.
are brutal.
Yeah,
we
sure.
sort of make up in the pain meter
Yeah.
goes way high. And but we're trying to get better.
Another question she had.
Okay.
Can I keep reading?
Yeah.
Do either of you have a friend or family member that the other strongly dislikes, and how do you handle that?
It's not a strong dislike by any means. It's it's not a strong dislike. I feel like that's too strong of a word, to be honest.
I can't think of anyone that we have a real, like, I fucking can't stand her or him.
Yeah.
I don't think we have that.
No, we're very, very lucky. I can't, but I'm sure that happens all the time.
I gotta believe it. We're very...
Yeah. Family is complicated.
And we're so fucking lucky on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, so last question she had, and then she calls me Jake, which is hilarious. She writes, is Jake a thong guy?
A thong guy.
And how do you handle that? And then she goes, and how does Jack like Jake?
Because she corrected herself.
She did. I am not a thong guy.
I would say you're just a butt guy. So whatever the butt happens to be wearing, you're like, mm-hmm.
No, well, no, I'm talking. She asking like, what I wear?
No.
Yeah. Oh, meaning do I like what you wear?
Yes.
Oh shit, sorry. Thought you meant do I wear that?
No.
Oh, I'm so stupid. I don't care what you're wearing.
Oh, I don't know. You know what? Actually,
as long as it hits the end of hits the floor at the end of the bed, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, enough. I think you're probably more of a, like, if I had to
Granny
choose,
panties?
you'd be like t-shirt and hip hugger undies would be your,
For sure,
your drive versus the lingerie thong
Totally.
garter belt.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. All right, let's go to another question. We're not taking any commercial breaks on this episode. This one is from
I'm
Alex.
taking champagne breaks now.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Okay, go.
Congratulations on your engagement. Now it's time to wedding plan. What are you most looking forward to in your wedding, and what are you most concerned to plan around?
Whoops, sorry.
Easy for me. Easy answer.
Go ahead.
Most concerned about the financial part of it. Weddings are so
Stupid expensive.
expensive. And even if you try to do it economically, you're still going to drop some cash.
Yep.
Both of us have already done it once. We still want to revel in, we still like the idea of having a party. And we started out with a really huge guest list.
200 plus.
Then we have been narrowing it down, and we're about to narrow it down again to where we just are thinking immediate family and the tightest of friends.
Yep.
And calling it there, because I would rather, like we've talked about, take that extra money, a cheap wedding.
I'd rather have a cheap wedding and then take
is-
all the kids to
But
Switzerland
a cheap
skiing.
wedding can still be $20,000.
No, we can
right?
get it done with 10. We can. I know you
Okay,
keep saying
all
we
right.
can't, but we
Well,
can.
Well, that's
Nils
not
is-
the question. So
What is the question? What's the thing that
question-
stresses you out the most? It's money, and I'm trying to tell you you're stressing out.
I already admitted it, so you're not telling me anything I don't know.
Mine is money too, because I would
Yeah.
rather take that money and take all of our kids with us on a ski trip, like we talked about this past weekend.
Yep.
All right, Alex has a second one, so can we listen to that one too?
Yep.
All right, here we go.
Now that home renovations are coming to a close and you're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, what are your plans in the housing market for 2024?
Well,
Does she probably means, what are we going to do?
absolutely,
Yeah.
because you and I have vacillated. One minute we're like, we're selling the house in June. Another minute we're like, we'll refinance. We'll go live in my condo. We'll rent this out, borrow against it, buy new properties.
But
And
because
then
we
the
have
other-
a shit ton of equity now, we bought it at a low price, we
Yeah.
fixed it up, we have at least a couple $100,000 in equity in this house, which could be used to buy something else.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and then, third option is sell it and go live in the condo and just wait for those next properties to come up.
Where are you? I have to tell you. Can I jump in real quick?
And then another option is,
Or not.
sorry, let me finish my thought.
So I can't.
Because another option is, no, I want to hear, but I want to get this out before. Another option is, man, babe, we have worked so hard on this. And after just having the kids over to celebrate the holidays and, we all fit for the most part. It was a blast. It really made me think, which we've talked about, maybe we stay for a second and just enjoy ourselves, because we keep working nonstop on this house for, a year and a half so far together.
Yeah.
We've never been without a project, and we still have more to go.
Yeah.
So
not too much more. Not
Yeah.
crazy more. Enough. Can I now? Are you done?
Yes.
All right.
Now
sorry.
you may speak.
Thank
Go.
you, ma'am. So we have vacillated a ton on this, and I'm going to settle in on a place that I think is, after all the machinations we've done and processing, all of our options are great, and that's all we ever wanted, right? We can rent it, we can leverage the equity, we can sell it, right? So the only thing I'd like to have done is I'd like the house done, meaning the final repairs, which is basically the bathroom, right? And a few little things down here, but the bathrooms. I'd like those done by April. So before summer rolls around or the housing market rolls around or any of those other things come up, we now can go, well, the house is done. If we want to stay in it, then we fucking stay in it for another year. Who cares, right? If we want to sell it, we sell it. But let's be prepared to move. That's where I'm
Yeah.
getting at. So I don't want to delay fixing up the remaining things. Let's get them done. Let's be prepared to move. And if all of a sudden we find a 3-flat or a 5-flat or another home and we go, oh, fuck, let's move. The house is ready to go. So that's where I am right now. Let's just get the house ready and kind of let things happen. How do you
Yeah.
feel about that?
Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah.
Does it feel like we're rounding ourselves out a little bit better?
I think so, at least today, until we change our minds.
Right, exactly. All right, I want you to
Until
read this
interest
one.
rates drop down, and now we could
Right.
get an extra $100K for the house.
Right, a lot
and
of
we're like, bye.
But yeah, right, later.
How much money?
Exactly.
You still counting?
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
Yeah, that's what that means. The same thing. Be ready.
Yes,
Right. Be
yes,
ready to
yes,
go.
yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So this one is from a listener in Illinois. Carol, are you going to change any of the format for next year? And will you be still quoting card people stuff? Like we do that card stuff.
Yeah. You mean our
Our
relationship
podcast.
cards?
No, we change. Yeah. And are we going to be still doing the card quotes? Are we changing the format of our podcast?
Yes, and I am actually glancing at the second part of our question because it's actually related. We will be having more guests next year, which I always find so fun.
Yeah.
I love people. I love meeting people. I love hearing their stories. And we're going to have more of that engagement next year, and that's going to be a blast.
We may have more frequent podcasts next year. We may. We're going to put a podcast out every Monday for sure, and that may be our own, or it may be with a guest. But we're definitely going to have more guests. I think we're still going to ask the questions, the card questions, because I like doing that. I still like
like that
learning
too.
about you.
Yeah.
And I think they're good for everybody else too.
Agreed.
So yeah, that's going to be our tempo for next year. Okay, so Laura then asks a question. So Laura is from Illinois, and she writes, you want to read that one?
Yeah, Laura, some benign listener.
I love that phrase,
Who is
by
your
the way.
favorite sibling and why?
Some benign listener. That's great. Laura is my sister and my only sister.
And your only sibling.
That we know of. So that's a great question. I wish you would have recorded it.
I know.
It would have been so
and
funny.
that's on, my children sent in, my daughter sent in a question yesterday.
Well, you
and
could reach out to her.
I did. And
Oh,
she's
she doesn't
probably
have it?
sleeping because she traveled
Oh.
back to Colorado last night and probably got in at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So she might not be up yet, but I forgot to hit save or keep on the voice memo, so I lost it. But it's my daughter and son were in the car.
Well, answer this
and-
question first.
Yeah.
Well, answer this question. You moved on to the next one without answering this question.
About Laura?
Well, Laura asked who's our favorite sibling. Not just me.
Oh, I thought I
no,
took
in fact,
it just as you.
her text was who's your favorite sibling? This has got to be a hard one for Kathy because Kathy has a brother and a sister.
Yeah, I can't say. I am blessed to live in the same city as my brother, so I definitely get to see him more.
Yeah.
My sister has, she lives in Minnesota and Florida and now Arizona, and she's got her second grandbaby on the way, which is so exciting. And
I might pick Colleen though. She listens to the podcast.
she does.
Dennis, I
She
don't think
does.
he's put
I
an
don't
ear
think-
against it.
I think Dennis would say, "What's a podcast?"
Exactly. Well, Laura doesn't listen either, so who are we kidding?
So, Colleen, you get favorite sibling listener by far.
Awesome.
You get the trophy.
All right, so let's go to. Do you want to talk about the Mac and Sam one? The one that they
that's
left?
what I was saying. So
Okay.
my daughter left us a voice memo, and I forgot to hit the keep, and I could kick myself because it was so cute.
It was really funny.
She's giggling, and she says, "This is a question for Jack. Which of Kathy's children is your favorite?" So that question is for you, my love. Go.
You can't. How can you pick a favorite child? Mm-hmm. There's your answer. Now, my kids would say I have a favorite of my own kids, but that's a whole different story. So, how can you pick a favorite? They are both unique and special in their own wonderful way.
Yes, I thought it was hilarious when we were
was
playing
great.
games and my son was roasting you at the table. That
Deserved.
was hilarious.
Deservedly so.
Oh yeah, you teed him up for it.
However, I know my daughter listens and Sam does, her husband.
Mm-hmm.
It may not have been the brightest way of doing things, but it got everyone to get really fired up and crazy in this fun game called Chameleon. And so
Yeah.
I was definitely stirring a pot and I loved it.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's go to, we have a bunch more questions and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to run through a couple of these, but I want to end with Nancy, and there's a reason why, and you'll understand the reason why. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that cool?
Yep.
All right. And then you got a text from her, didn't you? No, we listened to it already.
Yep.
So let's go with, ready for this one?
Okay.
You want to announce it? You want to announce who it is?
Who is it? Oh, Kanan.
Kanan, yep.
So, yes, Kanan is a wonderful listener that we just met at a salon, and he's just great human being. And so go ahead. Yeah.
Hello, this is Kanan from Milwaukee. I have a question about finding love over 50. I know you guys don't like to give advice, but I guess I wanted some of your tips and tricks on how to do, as people say, put yourself out there more, which I hate that term because usually it involves getting on one of these dating apps. And in the gay community, those are usually just hookup sites. But, I've been single for a very long time, and I blamed it on my weight, I blamed it on my age, my job, even living in Milwaukee. So going into 2024, what are some of your tips and tricks on how to get out there and possibly find love? I love the two of you, and I love how you found that love, and I would just like to hear some of your secrets or tips and tricks.
I love that
Love
question. He
I love him.
Oh my gosh, Kanan, you're just the best. And
Wonderful
I
soul.
have to say, the first day we met you, I really, really see you as this beautiful ball of white light energy, just positive energy. You are such a positive, happy human being, and I think that is in and of itself just
It's so
a draw.
marvelous.
It's so marvelous. And I have not spent, I trust you when you say the dating apps are just really about hookups. I think that's so unfortunate because human beings are trying to find connections to other human beings, and not just for that. I get how that could be somebody's goal and purpose, and so it's really unfortunate that there's not a dating app that really suits someone in the gay community to find a true partnership. I feel like I really got lucky with Jack, and I also recognize that even though we met on a dating app, what I saw in Jack and his profile was not something where I was like, oh, what a handsome guy, or look at his muscles, or look at,
Wait a minute.
Well, hold on. What I saw was someone that I had commonality with. What I saw was somebody who you happened to show pictures of a couple of your kids, which I did not do because I wasn't comfortable, but I saw that and said, check a box. We've got something in common there. Then you were hiking on a mountain, and so check a box. Oh my gosh, he's active and outdoorsy. And then you had
A picture of me holding a fish in a boat with my six pack.
No, not at all.
Okay.
And you and your recliner. No, you had a picture of, I don't know, did you have Ellie the dog
I had
in a picture
of the dog,
too? And
yep.
I was like, kind, sensitive, and a father. And so in my mind, that's really important. What I've learned now, whether it's through a dating app or something else, is having something in common with someone is super duper helpful. I'm struggling on that. I'm like stuttering over my words. And I don't know what life is like for you, Kanan, outside of where we met you at your place of employment. But if there are ways for you to engage in those things you love outside of work, that could be, and I'm no expert, that could be a possibility for how you will find the like-minded people. And I don't know what that is. If you love ceramics, or you love volunteering somewhere, or you love working with children, or you love, I don't know what. It's about engaging in the world outside to things that make you passionate. And I have to believe that similar souls are out there doing the same thing that would, bring you together in a way. I think that's why so many people meet in the office, in a work environment, because there's something similar about you that creates that initial connection. And for us, it was a dating app. And it's unfortunate that the dating app tends to be nothing but hookup. Although if that's the only thing, I would say be very conscientious of how you present who you are in that you are this well-rounded, humorous, funny, connected person, and it's not just about how we look. You are a beautiful human being. Your smile brightens the room. Body shaming not allowed in this room, because you are incredible in every way, and your body is beautiful, and it makes me sad that you would shame yourself in that way, because you are just a dynamic human being.
You rambled a lot.
I did. I'm sorry. I'm very passionate. He's such a beautiful
I wasn't quite
soul.
sure where you were going.
Yeah.
Let me give you my advice, because you get quite emotional when this
It'll
topic's
be more
about.
concise than mine.
It'll be actually advice. So real quick. Kathy and I, to be sure, met in Chicago. So I couldn't imagine trying to date in Milwaukee. So that's my first piece of advice. And I know it's hard to hear, but I think it's tough to find people. This is a really small community. Mm-hmm. And so to be a gay man in a really small town is going to limit, especially Wisconsin, your resources. It's just period. And so to be sure, we met in Chicago. You were working in Chicago. I lived in Chicago. You had, real estate stuff in both places. You got a house up here that we could fix. We were at to be sure, the same exact time we were looking to buy a house in Illinois. It just didn't come through. So things may have been different. So consider a move to a more dynamic, vibrant city where you may have a more accepting or welcoming, or at least a community where there's more people. So you have more options to date people. I just think it's hard here.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, I agree with Kathy. And you said something, Kanan said something like, people say, put yourself out there. I don't know what that means because that's very generic to me. So here's my advice on dating, and I love your advice about getting in some sort of club or thing that you do, because you're likely going to find birds of a feather, right?
Engage in life and the things that you love.
So let me tell you what I interpret as putting yourself out there. The odds of someone ringing your doorbell and falling in love with you is pretty slim. So to be in the game, you have to be in the game, right? You got to get out. You got to go on dates. I think where the difference comes in is, and so I would highly recommend you DM us on Instagram, because I know you follow us. I will point you to a bunch of people that help you get your picker correct and help you define who you are correctly.
Explain what you mean by that.
Because I
know what you mean.
I learned that there's one common denominator in all relationships, and that's me. So whether it's my relationships at work or with kids or with Kathy or dating, if I want to have something end up differently, I have to change me. And so changing me doesn't mean suddenly I'm going to put on more weight or grow a beard. I don't mean it that way. It really means how I present myself and how I interpret data. So when I went on dates prior to meeting Kathy, I had said no more. I tend to look for these types of things in people, and I keep getting the same results. So I'm going to look for different qualities in people now. I tend to, on dates, present myself a certain way because I'm concerned about how they're going to perceive me. I suddenly went into it going, I don't care if this person doesn't like me. It's what I did with you. Like me, don't care. I'm going to present myself as me, and you're going to like this or you're not, right? You're going to embrace who I am. And so I highly recommend you try to work on, well, what is it that I'm doing in dating that's attracting people that tends to be a certain way? Because that's the answer. I really feel until we go, maybe it's me, right? And not in a mean way, and not in a shameful way like you just said, but maybe it's me. And by the way, I don't mean body type. I don't give a fuck about that stuff. Admittedly, I used to go out with blondes that looked much different than you, right? We talked about this. And so I went, what are you doing? So move to Chicago or some other more vibrant city that has more population.
Well, I know that can't be an answer. You can't tell him to move.
Well, I do think it's an answer. We asked for advice.
You move, but you can expand your dating pool if you're going to stay on the apps.
How about this? If you stay here, it's just going to be a little more challenging because there's just not the pool of resources. That's fair.
Well, but the distance between Milwaukee and Chicago is not huge. So one could feasibly go on a date in an afternoon and then come home in the evening. It's only, it's less than a 2-hour drive. So if you haven't expanded that dating pool into there and also date a lot of people, date really Can I
interrupt you real quick?
Yeah,
sorry. Date with intention and be sure that you're intentional with the date. Meaning,
that's a better way to say it than dating a lot of people.
Yeah. If you want to hook up, okay, hook up. We would never tell anyone not to hook up. But if you're looking for marriage, if you're looking for a long-term partner, fucking put it out there. And if the other person goes, well, I'm not sure, here's the kicker. Don't go, well, maybe I can change them. Believe them. Because you and I did for sure, went out with someone who said, well, I'm not sure I ever want to get married again. And in my soul, I really did. And I thought in my head, I'm going to go with this, right? I can change their mind.
Right.
Because they're on the fence.
They're going to realize how fantastic I am.
And they're going to want to.
Be able to live without me. And then
fucking doesn't work.
Yeah.
No way. That's one thing I should change next year is not swear as much. podcast wise.
It's our podcast.
But
We can
date
say
with
whatever we
intention.
want.
If you want to find someone and you're looking to move in together and you want to raise a family together or whatever the fuck it is, if that's what you want, list those things out. So last piece of advice, check out Bella Gandhi. I love her. We're hoping to have her on our podcast next year and potentially be on her podcast. She talks about how to date intentionally and correctly. She's been doing it for 16 years. She has incredible success. She's been on Steve Harvey. She's been on Good Morning America. Bella Gandhi. DM us. I'll get you the links. I love this guy
Yeah.
and I want to help. So anyway,
So hopefully that was a little bit helpful, but thank you, Kanan. for
great
the question. You
All right,
rock.
let's go to Kanan's friend, Sarah. Ready? Mm-hmm. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
How do you genuinely ask a man what his love language is?
I think that's just it. I think and maybe there are some people out there that have never heard that turn of phrase or know what that's about, a love language.
good
There
point.
are some people that don't speak that way or have an awareness of that. And my guess is if you are somebody that is looking to ask someone that question, you have probably filtered out the people that don't relate to that. But I think you just come out and ask. We talked about that our first date.
Well, I would ask Sarah that, Sarah, if that's important to you to try to find out someone's love language, the same thing we just talked about Kanan with Kanan, right? Then you got to ask the question and be patient with their answer because to your point, I didn't even think about that. So great point. They may not know what that is, right? And so now get a read on how they respond to something that's important to you. So when you're dating, to your point, ask the question. If they're unfamiliar, be patient with them. Don't judge them. Don't go, how can this person not know love languages? Because they may not.
Yeah.
And then see how they respond, particularly if that's important to you. If knowledge of or experience with love languages is important and they're unfamiliar, be patient with them, right? And then, but certainly to your point, I think that's what you're saying. Ask the question.
Yeah, definitely. Just cut to the chase. And also they might ask you, be prepared for it. Why are you asking?
That's right.
What's important to you?
That's
and
right.
What is your goal for wanting to know these things? And I believe that the goal for that is to create connection, to create a conscientious relationship where you have a partner, you know that they love it when they bring you matcha or coffee in the morning, like someone does.
Or they take
And
off their thong in the morning.
There you go.
Okay.
That's Jack's love language. And it's so funny because when we talked about this our first date, I actually can't remember your response. I just remember mine.
You don't remember? We talked about it for sure.
We talked about it, and I basically said all of them.
You did.
I did. All of them. I don't think you can, when you...
Well, I only have really 2. I mean, all are nice, but I lean into 2 for sure. I know you don't feel that.
You lean into words, and you lean into like acts of kindness too.
Physical touch.
Oh, physical touch. Yeah.
OMG.
Well, you do like it when I've gotten you presents. You have expressed that, but so maybe you're like me. You kind of like all of them.
I don't think. Let's talk about love languages for a second. So, Sarah, the question I have for you is why are love languages important to you, right? And not pejoratively. Like, what is the reason that love languages are important to you?
What's your reason for asking?
Yeah, so you got to ask. You got to understand your needs first. I will always say that. Second, love languages is not black and white. It's not definitive. When I take the test, 90% for me is physical touch, followed really closely by words of affirmation. That's really important to me is dialogue and words, but I'm also a language guy. It doesn't mean then that I don't like gifts or that I don't like acts of kindness or I don't like service. It doesn't mean I don't like those things. They just don't register as quickly with me.
Yeah.
Kathy were to bring home a gift, but throughout the course of the day doesn't touch me or doesn't say nice things to me, I don't give a fuck what the gift is then. Couldn't care less.
Yeah.
Right? So view love language as kind of this amorphous glob that moves in and out, and you may change over time and accept that and be comfortable with that.
Yes.
Is that good?
Yeah, I think that's good. I hope that helped.
I hope that helps. Thank you, Sarah.
You're awesome.
Okay, let's go now to Aubrey.
Aubrey.
Ready? In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, Kathy and Jack. My question for you is if you could give your younger self your greatest piece of advice, knowing what you do now, what would that be?
Buy Apple stock.
Yeah, there you go.
Fuck yeah.
It's very easy for me to sit here and say this now, but I'm going to say it anyway. Being true to yourself. Jack and I can both reflect on, and we have in the podcast, reflect on times when we have compromised what our hearts were really telling us, when we have compromised what we really want to do, when we have put our needs to the side because we were trying to make peace with the person that we were with. And to be sure, you still will do some of that in a relationship. I won't say that. You will still... I don't know.
I have to admit, I don't do it with you. I don't do it with you anymore. I don't do that. But can I just...
Like, if you don't take stuff up on that's sitting on the steps every time, those are the little things I would let slide. But I really compromised myself. I didn't hold someone accountable. I didn't demand that they show up a certain way. And I'm not talking about, you need to be this or that or whatever. It was that I allowed them to behave in a certain way because I compromised myself.
Yeah, you didn't allow them to behave a certain way. You're saying it. You accepted things because you thought that was in the interest of the group.
Yeah.
I would, if I can rewind it even further back in time, first of all, I would really wish I would have bought Apple stock right when it came out. So I'm not fucking around with that stuff. So my first piece of advice was get your finances in order if you're really young. So if there are young people listening to this stuff, save money, buy stock, put it in listen to Scott Galloway, highly encourage it, Prof G. Because he really does talk about finances and how to save money. I wish I would have been a little bit better with that, and I didn't have a lot of good advice with that growing up. So, and in fact, just recently, my daughter said that she wished she had received more advice from me on it. So I feel at her age, which is 28, she still has a lot more time than you and I do to get that shit in order. So that's truly my first piece of advice. On a relationship level, I love what you said about being true to yourself, and let me go where that's going to go. I didn't want to go to college. I had a pretty decent career building with my landscaping company. I recognized the benefit of college, and I did have fun with it and experience a lot of things, and it did form who I am. However, I always listened to my mom and dad, and I know my mom listens, but my sister really didn't. My sister, when she wanted to do things, would be like, I don't give a shit what mom and dad think. I'm doing my own thing. And I applaud her for that because she's really lived like that. I was much more, I don't want to say subservient because that sounds like it was dogmatic and I was forced to do things. I always felt you needed to honor that influence. Does that make sense what I'm saying? And so when I was younger, I didn't want to go to school. And I think that's why when my middle daughter said I'm dropping out, I went, okay, then don't go. Because I didn't want to be that person telling them what to do. And I wanted them to forge their own path, as hard as it was for me to watch that. So yes, I agree. Being yourself is key. And I'm taking it outside of relationships for a moment. In everything. If you like music, fucking pursue music. Right? You know what I'm getting at? Am I making any sense?
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
And you bring up, I want to say this, you inspired me to say this, is that I really thought when I was young that I had to figure out what I was going to do in my life. There was this one thing I was supposed to master and then make into a career. Just this one thing.
Yep.
And I was always thinking the rest of the world has that one thing figured out, and I'm still the loser that is like, flailing around trying to figure out who I am so I can find that career. And I'm here to tell you, it can change, and it should change, and it's not a one thing that you should be doing. This life is truly, I know it sounds like just a simple turn of phrase, it truly is a marathon, not a sprint. And so go ahead and have an adventure with this career. And then when something else inspires you or an opportunity comes your way and you shift, yay! What's wrong with that? Shift and experience and live and grow and challenge and discover and
this is not we're not on a destination.
Nope.
We never get anywhere except death.
So be kinder to yourself about what that next thing is.
Give shit a try.
And don't, and that's something that I wish I would have told my younger
I
self.
agree. Seth, there are so many, one more thing I want to add. Seth Godin, I love him as an author. Look it up. He talks about sunk costs. And in there, he talks about how, some people who are lawyers or doctors never shift careers. Who's the guy who hosts The Masked Singer? Do you know he's a doctor and shifted to go into comedy and became a stand-up comedian? Did you know that? There's no such thing as sunk costs. We view that because we've spent money on something, therefore we have to do that.
Okay.
So because you were a model, therefore you have to be a model. Fuck that. Shift gears, do whatever you want. Let your heart go where it needs to go. It is your life to live. And if you don't, you're just going to look back as you get older and go, fuck me, woulda, coulda, shoulda. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next one. We've got a few more here. Let's go to Jill in Milwaukee. Hello, Jill.
Hey, Kathy and Jack. I have a question for you guys. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that you met via an online dating app. And I am curious because I have tried a few of those with absolutely zero luck. So I am curious, how long were you on the app before you met? Did you start talking to each other via text or inboxing? Or did you start texting via cell right away? And kind of how did that all play out? Because, like I said, I have certainly been on the apps enough to have seen kind of what's out there and to really not find a lot. So I'm happy that you guys found each other and just curious how that all went down. Thanks much.
That's sweet. That's sweet of her to say.
So first piece of advice, move out of Milwaukee.
Oh, stop it. There's great people in Milwaukee, for goodness sakes. But you know what it makes me think is, it goes back to our previous advice when talking about the dating app, is I really, really discovered that how you present yourself on those dating apps is very, very significant. And this is especially true for you dudes out there who put just the most awful, god-awful pictures on your dating app profiles. Present yourself with that shows you and your true interests and those things you like to do. I think we're so focused about getting the prettiest, sexiest, most desirable angle or showing our body or whatever.
You didn't do any of that. And by the way, if you would put up any of your modeling pictures, no one believes this when I tell them. If you would put up any of your modeling pictures, I'm swiping left. I would have never.
What I do. That's
I would have
not
never
who I am.
taken you seriously because I would have thought, this is someone that is really caught up in the way she looks, and I don't need that.
Yeah, and
you know that we talked about that.
Well, and I get it though. It's the world in which we live, and I'm just going to say, if you aren't doing this already, maybe redirect the profile to show who you are and what you love to do. So if you're sitting outside with friends or you're on the pontoon boat on the river having a great time, show those pictures. Show yourself just present yourself how you, in a way that you is very authentic to you, and not be so concerned about putting the prettiest pictures out there.
Again, it all circles back to honoring yourself. And you have to, we were just talking about this morning before we sat down to record things. And I said, what did I say to you? Like, did we just get fucking lucky? Like, what was it? Were we just damn lucky? And part of me believes there's some of it. And then there's this other part of me that goes, well, I changed so much in me, that common denominator thing we talked about earlier, that I don't know if it was luck or I created the luck, right? Because prior to meeting you, you were dating someone prior to meeting me, right? He, in fact, texted you on our date.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And I had gone on a date the night before I met you, and I had a date scheduled the day after. Remember that? And so I was just out there.
Yeah.
And
as you should be.
I was out there and I was being myself. And you and I just happened to click.
Yeah.
But if you're not out there being yourself, you will not get somebody that matches you. If you are Bella Gandhi again. Joe, fucking go check out Bella Gandhi because she talks about fixing your picker. So it's not about height, money, looks. It's none of that shit. It's about aligning with your own values, finding
And
someone that aligns with you and interests, and saying, I'm going to be resolute and intent on pursuing that. And if that takes a day, if it takes a year, if it takes a month, it doesn't matter. But hold true to that, right? What's our 3-word mantra?
Patience, persistence, consistency.
Bam.
Yeah.
Be yourself.
And,
You got it.
Yep. Good luck, babe.
We will see you tonight, right? Are we seeing her tonight?
Yeah.
So let's go to the last one. And I saved this for last for a reason.
Okay.
This is one of our most, what's the right word for, so fan is fanatic. This is, and I don't want to repeat the word by saying fanatical fan because that seems redundant. So this is passionate fan, what would you label her, this friend of ours from New Zealand?
Oh, Nancy.
Yeah. What would you, because she's send us voicemails
she
after
is
listening.
Profoundly supportive and
That's
engaged.
I like that.
She's engaged.
And we are going to see Nancy in New Zealand in 2 weeks.
Oh my God, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I gotta get on
So this is question 1 of 3, and it's a little bit of chat going on here, but this is Nancy from New Zealand.
People say you marry your parent. Do you see one of your parents in each other? And if so, which one and what traits?
Oh, boy.
Well, I am oddly attracted to your father, so.
Rightly so.
If
He's
you had
awesome.
facial hair, I would kiss you all day long.
You already do.
Yeah. Imagine. Good.
So should I speak to what I see in you and your parents, and you speak to what you see in me and my parents?
Do you agree that you seek? I'm going from a perspective of
I don't think I seek. I think I see your parents in you, and probably vice versa. But I don't know if I see
like you don't see your
parents.
dad in me.
I don't see my parents in you.
Yeah. I
Except
don't
maybe
either.
your kindness.
Well, there could be. I will say what's interesting. Let me go down this path for our dear friend Nancy. Her question's interesting because it's funny that our parents have met because your mom and dad came to my dad's funeral, which was really super kind. We'd known each other 3 months at that point, right? Or 6 months. And there was an instant chemistry between them, which I thought was interesting. And I'm convinced that had my dad been around and been cognizant and mentally stable, that they might have formed a nice friendship.
Right.
So there were a lot of commonalities there. So maybe there's something inherent in the way we were both raised, inherent in our parents' point of view that has nurtured itself in us. And so we may not have sought those skills or attributes of our partner. Like I didn't seek that from you, but maybe by default. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes I think we just got fucking lucky. And I am not religious at all. And yet there's a part of me that goes, someone wanted us to get together. And I know it's crazy that I go there, but what do you think? Did I make any sense on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Question number D from Nancy from New Zealand.
What would be the thing or things in your relationship where you'd look at the other person and go, no, deal breaker, I'm out?
Like that one. Do you have one?
I'd say if
Sex.
you really watched TV all the
Oh, wow.
time.
That's so rando.
Not to me, it's not.
I know. I would have never guessed. Like if we were playing the dating game right now, or the whatever that partner is, like they hold up the signs from the 70s.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed that from you. Wow.
I could probably say other ones too.
Yeah, go ahead. Are you afraid to say other ones?
No. I just don't want to, spend too long on this. But yeah, if you were something that, and I think what I equate with that too is that you're not getting out and doing things, right? Like there's an association there, because you have an adventurous spirit, and I think they're tied together in my mind.
Yep.
And I also think if I didn't see you as a good father, I see you as a great father. Like I would really, because respecting and admiring my partner are tantamount, right? Because I think everything sort of unfolds from that. Attraction unfolds from that, and certainly for us, how we work together on projects or in work unfolds from that. And so, yeah, I think if you were, like, say, estranged from one of your children, or, well, I don't know, that's not really fair, because we don't know what it could be something on the kids side.
Yeah.
But if I just didn't see you as a conscientious father, I think that would really bother me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about you?
Politics.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in our environment right now. I mean, it's just so crazy. I watched an Instagram post of Meryl Streep recently where she said, we should really all be just offended that another human being would make fun of a reporter because they were mentally incapacitated. And the fact that we've come to a place in our country where that's an acceptable behavior for a leader, you remember what I'm talking about, right? Had you had any... I'm okay with people having different politics, just not my partner. You can be left on some things when I'm right, or vice versa. But the core of what we feel is representative of our country is it's a deal breaker for me. And then the other thing is kindness.
Yeah.
And so I was truly paying attention to your kindness.
Yeah.
And then the third thing for me was self-awareness. So if one of the things I asked on dates all the time was, what was your role in the end of all your relationships? And I asked you that, and sometimes people would say, well, he did this or they did that. And you said, I did this, I did that. I probably could have showed up better here or there. And that's what I look for. Those are the three things that were, it's funny that politics would play such a huge fucking role.
It played a role, one more second. It played a role in my dating apps, because I tried to uncheck that box on the dating app, and I was like, oh no, check my box, check my box,
because you want to feel open, right?
It is a biggie, and I think it's I knew I was more likely to find a partner if I checked that box. So, yes, stay in that realm. If you are on those dating apps, it's another way of staying true to yourself. Yeah.
Last one from Nancy, and then last one for the day.
Where do you guys see yourself in 5 years? Within your relationship, in your careers, where you're living, etc.
Okay, Nancy, I think we're going to move to New Zealand.
That is the best way to end this, isn't it? Isn't it great? Yeah, we're moving to New Zealand. If we move there, we won't be married then, and I will leave you in a heartbeat, because Nancy said I would be...
Yeah, you could get citizenship if you married a New
Nancy
Zealand
said I'd be a hot commodity there.
You're
she
a
said
hot commodity. Yes.
She said I'd be wanted for good things, not for bad reasons. So, where do you see yourself in 5 years, sweetie?
I see us. I do not believe we are living in this house. I do see us retired, but still working in some way, because I don't think we'll ever stop completely working.
God, wouldn't it be great if this is our job?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Doing the podcast full time.
Yeah, well, keep going.
Yes, I see us retired. I see this house sold. I see us probably engaging in more of our kids' lives, because their lives will be going on the uptick. And I see us traveling a lot. And I see us living abroad for a little while.
Oh, you just made my day.
But not forever, if that's okay.
That's totally fine.
Yeah.
If I said I saw us having a place overseas
that we've
frequented, I don't see us living in I don't know yet. I don't see us living in Wisconsin. In a weird way, I feel we'll still have a presence here, though, right?
Yeah, well,
but just I feel we'll be moving about quite a bit. I do like
just
the idea.
Just like we'll
of,
have a presence in Chicago because of our families. You know,
that's
important.
What has not left my soul, and was the flame was definitely fanned, is living abroad, or living someplace else and really getting to know another culture. And I know we don't have that many more years left on this planet. It would be fascinating to be in a Costa Rica or in Italy or a Paris, just to really get to know more of this world. And on that note, if I might, I am going to start to cry because I can't thank you enough for being an amazing partner. I am so excited about 2024 and wherever it's going to take us. We are getting married in less than a year, and I couldn't be happier because of it. And so the next 5 years, if it has been as much fun as these past 2.5.
2.5, babe.
It's going to be amazing.
We're goofs.
We're idiots.
Absolute goofs.
So thank you to everyone who has spent an hour and 20 minutes listening to this show.
Sorry, this went longer than expected.
We hope you all have
a garnered something out of it.
Yeah,
we had a blast.
Hope you have a wonderful 2024. This will be broadcast. We record it now. It'll be out in the airwaves in about 3:00 this afternoon. So Happy New Year to everybody.
To everyone that's hearing this right now, we wish you all the best. Here's to 2024, and thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you to you guys. Cheers, babe.
Whoops. And peace.
You just listened to another episode of the Jack and Kathy Shit Show. All recording, engineering, and production provided by us. Connect with the podcast on Instagram at Jack and Kathy Shit Show for more insight into our shit show of a life. This episode is proudly brought to you by Pint Productions.
Point.